Have you ever thought a $2 cookie could change an entire empire? What makes a cold-hearted billionaire stop for a street vendor boy? Can a determined look be enough to melt a heart frozen for 5 years? And if you were Elena Harper, what would you do when painful memories suddenly come flooding back just because of a chance encounter? Let's step into the vibrant Chicago, where an inspiring story is about to begin, where even the smallest things can lead you to the greatest miracles. Late November afternoon, Millennium Park buzzes like a vibrant painting. The cold winds carry dry yellow leaves, gliding past laughing families, hand-holding couples, and crowds heading to magnificent mile-hunting Black Friday deals. Under the fading twilight, the lights from Cloud Gate, also known as the Bean, sparkle like a gem in the heart of the city. In a corner of the park, near a tree-shaded path, a boy around 10 years old stands by a tiny folding table. On the table are homemade cookie boxes, neatly arranged, fragrant with butter and chocolate. He wears a blue jacket worn at the shoulders, muddy sneakers, but his brown eyes are bright, as if the whole world couldn't extinguish his spirit. Homemade cookies, just $2, best in Chicago. Caleb Bennett calls out, his voice clear yet full of determination. He reaches to adjust the handwritten sign. Caleb's Cookies, save Isabelle. People pass by, some smile, some shake their heads, but most just rush past, busy with shopping bags from Whole Foods or Nordstrom. Caleb doesn't get discouraged. He wipes sweat from his forehead, even though the cold wind reddens his cheeks. Just need to sell a few more boxes, he whispers to himself. I'll have the money to buy medicine for my sister. Not far away, Elena Harper steps out of a sleek black SUV. The driver lightly bows before driving off. At 32, Elena is a model of success. Glossy brown hair cut sharply into a bob, a gray suit hugging her slim figure, and sharp blue eyes that seem to see through every million-dollar contract. As the CEO of Luxavita, a leading organic cosmetics brand, Elena built her empire from scratch, from a poor girl in the Chicago suburbs to a billionaire appearing on Forbes. But behind that perfect exterior lies a frozen heart, wounded 5 years ago when Nathan Pierce, someone she once loved, betrayed her, stealing product ideas and leaving her with a broken heart. Today, Elena just ended a tense meeting with the board of directors. Luxavita is facing pressure from Bellicos, the rival company run by Marcus Vaughn. She decided to walk through Millennium Park to dispel her headache, even though her heels make her feet ache. The laughter of children, the smell of nearby coffee, and the early Christmas lights stir her heart slightly, but she quickly dismisses it. Emotions only make you weak, she mutters to herself, stepping faster. Ma'am, the cookies are delicious. Buy a box. Caleb's voice rings out, pulling Elena from her thoughts. She glances over, intending to pass by like everyone else. But Caleb's gaze meets hers. Those eyes are not just the resilience of a child, but also a silent pain, as if he was carrying the world on his small shoulders. Elena stops, although she doesn't understand why. She walks closer, her shoes tapping rhythmically on the stone walkway. What's special about these cookies? Elena asks, her voice cold but her gaze not leaving Caleb. Caleb smiles, his smile bright like the park lights. I made them with my sister Isabelle, using my mom's recipe. There's chocolate chip, peanut butter, and gingerbread too. Buy them, miss. Only $2. I guarantee you'll like them. Elena looks at the Save Isabelle sign. Her heart aches, as if an old memory has been stirred up. Who is Isabelle? She asks, her voice softening. My sister. Caleb replies, his eyes momentarily sad. She has heart disease, needs money for medicine and surgery. I have to help her because my dad works all day but still doesn't earn enough. Elena feels her chest tighten. The image of her brother Michael comes vividly to mind. Michael also had heart disease, also lay on a hospital bed with a weak smile, and also left her forever when she was 18. She had done everything to save him, but didn't make it in time. That pain never left her, even though she buried it under layers of success. "How many boxes have you sold?" Elena asks, trying to keep her voice calm. "Today, I've only sold 3 boxes, Caleb sighs. "But I won't give up. My sister Isabelle says I'm her superhero." Elena looks at the boxes of cookies, then at Caleb, the boy with hands red from the cold but still clutching hope. Without further thought, she takes out 5 $100 bills from her wallet. "I'll buy all these cookies. Pack them up." Caleb stands stunned, mouth agape. You mean it? $500? But I only have 15 boxes." "I mean it," Elena replies, her eyes still sharp but her lips slightly curling up. "You need money for your sister, right? Then take it." Caleb nervously accepts the money, his eyes bright. "Miss, you're an angel. I'll tell Isabelle and Dad that you're the best in the world." He hurriedly packs the cookies, carefully as if they were treasures. But when he hands the cookies to Elena, she shakes her head. "Keep selling them. I don't need the cookies." Elena turns to leave, but Caleb's voice rings out. "Miss, what's your name? I want Isabelle to know your name." Elena pauses, hesitating. "Elena," she replies, not turning back. "Take good care of your sister, okay?" Caleb nods enthusiastically, but as Elena walks away, a strange feeling pulls her back. She glances at Caleb, sees him carefully counting the money, whispering, "Isabelle, I did it." Her heart twists. Michael also used to say that, hoping she would save him. Unable to resist, Elena turns back. "Where do you live?" she asks. "I want to meet your sister." Caleb is surprised, but his smile returns. "Really? My house is in the south, not far. Come with me, Miss Elena." Elena hesitates. She has an important call in 30 minutes, and her luxurious penthouse is awaiting her. But Caleb's eyes, just like Michael's, make her unable to refuse. "All right," she says, her voice gentler than ever. "Lead the way." As the two walk, Caleb skips like a little bird, while Elena feels her heart beat faster. She doesn't know what she's stepping into, but her instinct tells her this meeting will change everything. Will Elena find what she lost long ago? Or will past pains pull her down again? Join this touching story to find out. Have you ever done something unexpected for a stranger? Share in the comments and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments to not miss Elena's emotional journey. Each viewer like you is the fire that lights up the stories that touch the heart. Chicago shifted in the twilight. The streets in the south began to sink into darkness. Caleb Bennett led Elena Harper through rows of old buildings, where the smell of bread from a small shop mingled with distant car horns. The 10-year-old boy walked quickly, his frayed blue coat fluttering, clutching a bundle of $500 like a treasure. Elena, in her elegant gray suit, felt lost in this slum area. Her high heels clicked rhythmically on the cracked pavement with each step, pulling her away from the glitzy penthouse world. But Caleb's bright eyes, just like her younger brothers back in the day, prevented her from turning away. "This is my home." Caleb pointed to a 3-story apartment building, its paint peeling, windows draped with old curtains. He pushed the door open, leading Elena up creaky wooden stairs. The smell of mold lingered, but Elena didn't mind. She only thought about Isabelle, the girl Caleb was trying to save, and memories of Michael, her brother, pierced her heart. The door to apartment 204 opened, revealing a small but tidy space. An old sofa lay against the wall, covered with a hand-knitted blanket. A wooden dining table fit for just 3 people, and on the table was a plastic vase with a few stems of wild daisies. In the corner of the room, a girl about 14 sat on a chair, her blonde hair loosely tied, her face pale but her bright blue eyes lit up upon seeing Caleb. Isabelle Bennett, Caleb's older sister, smiled weakly, clutching an illustrated book. "Caleb, you're home," Isabelle said, her voice soft but warm. Then she looked at Elena, surprised. "Who is this?" Before Caleb could answer, a man stepped out of the small kitchen corner. Liam Bennett, about 35, wore a flannel shirt stained with grease, wiping his hands with a towel. He was tall, broad-shouldered, but his brown eyes showed the weariness of a single father. His black hair was slightly tousled, some silver strands peeked through. Liam looked at Elena, his gaze shifting from surprise to suspicion. A female billionaire in an expensive suit standing in his shabby apartment was something he couldn't fathom. "Who are you?" Liam asked, his deep voice cautious. He stepped forward, positioning himself protectively in front of Isabelle. Elena, accustomed to tense meetings, suddenly felt awkward. "I'm Elena Harper," she replied, her voice calm but her gaze softened while looking at Isabelle. "I met Caleb at Millennium Park. He was selling cookies to fund his sister's treatment." Caleb chimed in, waving the bundle of money. "Miss Elena bought all my cookies, Dad. $500. I can buy medicine for Isabelle now." Liam was stunned, looking at the money, then at Elena. $500? You? Why? He shook his head as if in disbelief. "We don't need charity." Elena frowned, a hint of offense passing through. "This is not charity," she said, her voice firmer. "Caleb worked hard, and I paid the full value. Moreover, I want to help Isabelle." Isabelle spoke from the chair. "Dad, she seems kind. Caleb said she's like an angel." She smiled, but a light cough made her shudder. Liam hurriedly went to her, his eyes worried. "I'm okay," Isabelle whispered, but her pale face made Elena's heart ache. She recalled Michael's last days, when he tried to smile despite his frail body. Without further thought, Elena stepped forward. "Isabelle needs a doctor," she said, her voice decisive. "I will cover all surgery and medical costs. I know a leading cardiologist in Chicago. Let me help." Liam looked at Elena, his eyes wavering between gratitude and pride. "You don't know us," he said, his voice deep. "Why are you doing this? What do you want?" Elena hesitated. She couldn't say that Caleb's eyes reminded her of Michael, that she was trying to atone for what she had lost. "I just want Isabelle to get better," she replied, her voice softer. "Think of the child." Caleb grasped his father's hand, his eyes pleading. "Dad, Miss Elena is really nice. I trust her." Isabelle also nodded, though weakly. Liam sighed, his hand gripping the towel tightly. He looked at their small apartment, where he had struggled to raise 2 children after his wife died in a car accident 3 years ago. His mechanic's wage was just enough for rent and medicine for Isabelle, but surgery was beyond reach. "All right," Liam finally said, his voice raspy. "But I'll pay you back. I don't like owing anyone." Elena nodded, her lips gently curving. "I believe you will." She looked at Isabelle, seeing the girl smile in gratitude. Elena's heart warmed, as if a small light had flickered in her cold heart. "Can Miss Elena stay for dinner, Dad?" Caleb asked, his eyes shining. "I want her to try your pasta." Liam hesitated, looking at the kitchen with only some pasta and a can of tomato sauce left. "Caleb, she must be busy." "Not busy," Elena interrupted, surprising even herself. "I want to try your pasta, Liam." She smiled, a rare smile making her eyes light up. Caleb cheered, running to fetch bowls. Isabelle chuckled, though a cough again paused her. Liam looked at Elena, his gaze less guarded yet still questioning. He began cooking, his hands swift but his mind tangled. This woman, with an expensive suit and sharp eyes, was sitting on his old sofa, chatting with Isabelle about the illustrations in the book. Who is she? Why is she here? Meanwhile, Elena observed the apartment. No TV, no expensive decorations, just a family photo on the shelf. Liam, the two children, and a smiling blonde woman. His wife, surely. She felt a bit curious about Liam, the father with rough hands but gentle eyes when looking at his children. Simple dinner was served. Pasta with tomato sauce, a plate of Caleb's cookies, and water. Caleb recounted stories of selling cookies, making the table laugh as he described an uncle who tried to haggle 10 cents. Isabelle shared her dream of drawing, her eyes bright even if her body weak. Liam spoke little, but whenever his children talked, he smiled. Elena ate slowly, savoring the simple yet warm flavors of pasta, unlike the luxurious banquets she usually attended. When dinner ended, Elena stood up, ready to leave. "I'll arrange a doctor for Isabelle tomorrow," she said. "Liam, I'll contact you." Liam nodded, escorting her to the door. "Thank you," he said, his voice sincere. "I don't know what else to say." "No need to say anything," Elena replied, her gaze meeting his briefly. She turned away, but Caleb ran after her. "Miss Elena, come back tomorrow," the boy said, giving her a quick hug before running back inside. Elena stood silently on the staircase, the warmth from Caleb's hug spreading. She stepped out into the street, the cold wind blowing through, but her heart no longer felt icy. Could this family be what she was looking for? Or would her kindness lead to unforeseen troubles? Stay tuned for the next developments. Have you ever felt warmth from a simple meal? Share your story in the comments and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments to follow this emotional journey. Every moment you share is a flame lighting up heart-touching stories. Early in the morning, sunlight pierced through the skyscrapers in downtown Chicago, casting a golden hue over the 30th floor penthouse of Elena Harper. The expansive space, with its white marble floors, minimalist furnishings, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan, exuded a cold luxury. On the walnut dining table sat a steaming cup of black coffee, untouched by Elena. She stood by the window, phone in hand, eyes as sharp as ever. Last night, after a modest noodle dinner at the Bennett family's apartment, she couldn't sleep. Images of Caleb hugging her, Isabelle's faint smile, and Liam's pensive gaze kept appearing, stirring her heart. The phone vibrated. Elena looked at the screen, a call from her assistant, reminding her of an urgent meeting with the Luxavita board. She remembered the important missed call from last night when she decided to stay for dinner with the Bennetts. "Cancel all my morning appointments," Elena said, a decisive tone in her voice. "Arrange an appointment with cardiologist James Carter this afternoon. I need him to examine a patient." Her assistant hesitated, but Elena had already hung up. She returned to the table, opened her laptop, and started researching heart conditions in children. The image of Isabelle, with bright blue eyes but a frail body, wouldn't let her sit still. Meanwhile, in the southern slums, Liam Bennett woke up on an old sofa, his neck aching from a bad sleeping position. He looked at Caleb and Isabelle, still sound asleep in the small room. Last night, after Elena left, Caleb recounted everything with the excitement of a 10-year-old boy, while Isabelle dreamily said, "Ms. Elena is like a character in a book, Dad." Liam smiled, but his heart was heavy. He wasn't used to receiving help, especially from someone like Elena, a billionaire woman from a completely different world. Did she have an ulterior motive? Or was it merely a momentary kindness? Caleb woke up, ran out to hug his father. "Ms. Elena will come back today, right?" he asked, his eyes bright. Liam ruffled his son's hair, unsure how to reply. He got up, prepared breakfast, toast with a bit of peanut butter, and gave Isabelle her medicine. "Do you feel better now?" he asked, voice worried. Isabelle nodded, but a slight cough made him frown. He knew the medicine only provided temporary relief, while surgery seemed like a distant dream. By noon, the doorbell rang. Caleb exclaimed, running to open the door. Elena stood there, no longer in a gray suit but in a white sweater and jeans, yet her air of elegance was unmistakable. She held out a paper bag from Whole Foods, filled with fresh fruits and a box of chocolate cookies. "For Isabelle," she said, handing the bag to Caleb. The boy beamed, pulling her inside. Liam, fixing an old clock on the table, looked up. He awkwardly stood, wiping his hands on his pants. "Ms. Elena, I didn't expect you back so soon." He glanced at the bag, a flicker of skepticism in his eyes. "You didn't need to bring anything. We're fine." Elena smiled slightly, ignoring his wariness. "I've arranged for Dr. Carter, a cardiologist, to examine Isabelle this afternoon. I'll take the family to the hospital." She looked at Isabelle, who was drawing on an old piece of paper. "Little girl, are you ready?" Isabelle looked up, eyes bright but shy. I'm not afraid of doctors, but I don't want Dad to worry." She held Liam's hand, softening him. Liam looked at Elena, his gaze wavering. He wanted to refuse, but Isabelle's smile made him nod. "All right," he said, "but I drive. You don't need to take us." Elena raised an eyebrow but didn't object. "It's up to you, Liam, but I will come along." In the afternoon, the group arrived at the hospital in Liam's old truck, its engine rattling. Caleb sat in the back, telling school stories, easing the tension. Elena, sitting next to Liam, felt out of place. She was used to luxury cars and personal drivers, but this truck, with its smell of engine oil and cracked vinyl seats, carried a genuineness she had never known. She glanced at Liam, seeing him focused on driving, his calloused hands gripping the wheel. He was a dedicated father, but what kept him so wary of her? At the hospital, Dr. Carter examined Isabelle, confirming the need for surgery soon. Elena stood in the hallway, talking to the doctor, committing to cover all expenses. Liam, standing a few steps away, heard but said nothing. He felt his pride wounded, but he knew Isabelle needed this chance. On the way back, Elena offered to take the family to her penthouse. "Isabelle needs to rest in a clean, airy place," she said. "My home has enough rooms, and I can monitor her condition before the surgery." Liam tightened his grip on the steering wheel, his eyes darkening. "Ms. Harper, we don't belong in your world. I appreciate the help, but I don't want my children to get used to things they can't have." Elena was surprised by his frankness. "Liam, I'm not trying to change your life. I just want Isabelle to get well. You may refuse out of pride, but what about Isabelle?" Caleb from the back seat chimed in. "Dad, Ms. Elena's house must be beautiful. I want to see it. Isabelle, do you want to?" Isabelle nodded, her eyes pleading. Liam sighed, knowing he couldn't win against his two children. "Just a few days," he said reluctantly, "until Isabelle is better." When the truck stopped in front of the skyscraper, Caleb and Isabelle were amazed. The elevator took the group to the 30th floor, unveiling a sparkling penthouse. Caleb immediately ran to the window, shouting, "Look, Dad! All of Chicago is at our feet!" Isabelle sat on the leather sofa, tentatively touching the soft surface. Liam stood near the door, hands in his pockets, as if afraid to touch anything. Elena led Isabelle into the living room, where she had set up a temporary medical bed. "You rest here, close to me," she said. Then she turned to Caleb. "And you? Would you like to try making cookies in the kitchen? I bet you're better at it than I am." Caleb beamed, pulling Elena into the kitchen. Liam followed, still cautious. In the modern kitchen with stainless steel appliances, Caleb directed Elena like a seasoned chef. "You have to roll the dough thinner," he said, flour coating Elena's hands. She tried to follow, but dough stuck to her hair, making Caleb and Isabelle burst out laughing. Liam, leaning against the wall, also smiled slightly, though trying to hide it. When Elena took the cookies out of the oven, One was burnt. Caleb teased. "Ms. Elena, this one's probably only good enough for the chickens." Laughter erupted, and for the first time Liam saw Elena not as a distant billionaire woman, but as a clumsy, genuine person. But when the Bennett family went to sleep, Elena sat alone in her office, opening her laptop. An email from Marcus Vaughn, CEO of Bellicos, appeared. "Luxavita is about to face big trouble, Elena. Are you ready?" Her heart felt heavy. Would her kindness towards the Bennett family cause her to lose focus in the upcoming storm? Let's explore this story together. Have you ever stepped into a completely different world and felt lost? Share in the comments and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments so you don't miss out on emotional moments. Thank you for joining us, illuminating stories that touch the heart. The afternoon sunlight flooded Elena Harper's penthouse, making the glass walls shimmer like a palace in the clouds. In the modern kitchen, the scent of freshly baked cookies wafted from the oven, blending with the hearty laughter of Caleb Bennett. The 10-year-old boy, with tousled brown hair, stood on a chair, directing Elena like a real chef. "Ms. Elena, mix the chocolate chips in without deflating the dough," Caleb said, his brown eyes sparkling. Elena, in a white sweater now smeared with flour, tried to follow suit, but her clumsy hands sent dough flying onto the counter. She sighed, her lips curling into a rare smile. From the living room, Isabelle Bennett sat on the sofa, pencil in hand, sketching a picture. The 14-year-old girl, with loosely tied blonde hair, looked healthier after her checkup with Dr. Carter yesterday, but her blue eyes still held an indescribable sadness, as if she were hiding something. Liam Bennett, the father of the two children, stood leaning against the kitchen door, his gaze gentle but full of concern as he looked at Isabelle. He was still not used to this lavish space, with its marble floors and expensive leather sofas. Elena's penthouse, although warmed by the presence of his children, was still an unfamiliar world. "Ms. Elena, you make terrible cookies," Caleb teased, holding a misshapen cookie just taken from the oven. "Look, it looks more like Dad's fix-it wheel than a cookie." Elena laughed, pretending to throw flour at the boy. Caleb dodged, running around the kitchen, making Isabelle giggle from the sofa. Liam smiled softly, but his gaze quickly returned to Isabelle. He noticed she spoke less than usual, though her smile was still bright. Elena sat down next to Isabelle, wiping her hands on a towel. "What are you drawing?" she asked, looking at the sketch. A field of flowers under the sunset, with a girl standing in the middle. Isabelle hesitated, placing the pencil down. "It's just a dream," Isabelle said, her voice small. "I used to want to be an artist, to paint big pictures to hang in museums. But my illness..." She paused, her eyes drifting away. "The doctor says surgery might help, but I'm afraid it won't be in time." Elena felt her heart tighten. She remembered Michael, her brother, who also talked about dreaming of becoming an astronaut, but was taken by heart disease before his dream could come true. Unable to help herself, Elena took Isabelle's hand. "You will do it," she said, her voice firm. "The surgery will be successful, and I will take you to the Chicago Art Museum, where you can learn to paint from the best artists." Isabelle smiled, but her eyes were still sad. "Miss Elena, why are you so kind to us? Aren't you afraid I won't be able to repay you?" The girl bit her lip as if struggling with a secret. Elena was surprised, but before she could ask, Liam stepped in. "Isabelle, don't say that," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "Ms. Elena is helping us, and I will find a way to repay her." He looked at Elena, his eyes both grateful and wary. "Ms. Harper, I've contacted a friend at the garage. He can give me extra night shifts so I can save up to pay hospital bills." Elena frowned. "Liam, I've told you, you don't need to pay. Isabelle is the priority now." She stood up, her eyes resolute. I'll take her to see Dr. Carter every week, and I want your family to stay here until she recovers." Liam clenched his hands, his gaze wavering. He wanted to argue, but Isabelle's smile and Caleb's nod made him silent. "Thank you," he said, his voice hoarse. "But I don't want my children to think everything comes easily." Elena nodded, respecting his dignity. She turned back to Isabelle, taking a new box of colored pencils from her pocket. "For you," she said. "Draw your dreams, Isabelle. Don't give up." Isabelle hugged the box of pencils, her eyes shining, but she was still hesitant, as if wanting to say something but not daring to. In the evening, when Caleb and Isabelle had fallen asleep in the living room, Elena sat in her study, the light from her laptop illuminating her face. She opened an email from Marcus Vaughn, CEO of Bellicos, with a cold line. "Luxavita is out of control, Elena. Watch your steps." Attached was an unpublished article accusing Luxavita of using harmful chemicals in its products. Elena clenched her hands, feeling the blood rush. She had known Marcus for a long time, when he tried to buy Luxavita 3 years ago and was flatly refused by her. But what stunned her was the name behind the smear campaign. Nathan Pierce, her ex-boyfriend. Nathan, with his charming smile and promises of eternal love, had betrayed her 5 years ago. He stole her product idea, cheated with a colleague, and left her when Luxavita was still fledgling. Now he was the creative director of Bellicos, and it was clear he was teaming up with Marcus to bring her down. Elena closed the laptop, taking a deep breath. She couldn't let the past drag her down, not when Isabelle and Caleb needed her. She stepped into the living room, seeing Isabelle still awake, drawing under the desk lamp. "Can't sleep?" Elena asked, sitting down next to her. Isabelle hesitated, then pushed the sketch towards Elena. "Ms. Elena, I want to tell the truth," she whispered. "I don't just want to draw. I want to draw to leave something behind, in case I don't make it through the surgery. I'm afraid Dad and Caleb will be sad, so I hide it. Please don't tell them, okay?" Elena felt her eyes sting. She hugged Isabelle, her voice trembling. "You'll be okay, Isabelle. I promise. You'll draw the whole world, and I'll be there to see it." Isabelle nodded, tears streaming down, but her smile was brighter than ever. Meanwhile, Liam stood outside the door, overhearing the conversation. He clenched his hands, his heart aching upon learning Isabelle's secret. He looked at Elena, seeing her sincerely comforting his daughter with a sincerity he had never expected. Could this woman be truly different from what he feared? Or was her kindness just the beginning of a bigger storm? Join us on this journey. Have you ever kept a secret to protect someone you love? Share your feelings in the comments, and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments to explore the heart-touching moments. Thank you for being the light illuminating our story. The morning in Elena Harper's penthouse was filled with sunlight, but the atmosphere in her office was heavy. On the laptop screen, a draft article from Bellicos appeared with a sensational headline. "Luxavita deceives customers. Toxic chemicals in organic cosmetics." Elena clenched her hand, her sharp blue eyes scanning each line. She knew Marcus Vaughn, CEO of Bellicos, was playing dirty, but seeing the name Nathan Pierce, her ex-lover, now Bellicos's creative director, in Marcus's email, left her stunned. 5 years ago, Nathan had betrayed her, stolen her ideas, and left her when Luxavita was still in its infancy. Now he returned, like a ghost from the past, wanting to destroy everything she had built. Elena closed the laptop, taking a deep breath to regain composure. She couldn't let her emotions take over, not when Isabelle and Caleb were in the living room, and Liam was relying on her to save his daughter. She stood up, walking out, her gaze softening as she saw Caleb sitting next to Isabelle, pointing at her new sketch. Isabelle, with her blonde hair loosely tied, looked healthier, but her pale face still reminded Elena that time was not on their side. Liam, in a flannel shirt, stood by the window, gazing out at Chicago with a pensive look. "Miss Elena, isn't Isabelle's drawing beautiful?" Caleb exclaimed, holding up the painting, a phoenix flying through flames. Elena smiled, sitting down next to Isabelle. "It's very beautiful, Isabelle," she said warmly. "You really have a talent. I'll contact an art school for you to study in depth after the surgery." Isabelle blushed, but her eyes lit up. "Do you really think I can do it?" she asked shyly. Elena nodded, holding her hand, but her gaze briefly passed over Liam. He stood still, hands in his pockets, as if struggling with something. "Miss Harper," Liam spoke, his voice deep. "I just talked to the garage. I'll take night shifts from next week to pay for the doctor's fees. You don't need to take care of everything." Elena frowned, feeling a twinge of discomfort. "Liam, I've told you. You don't need to pay. Isabelle needs you here, not exhausted at the garage." She stood up, her eyes determined. "Let me handle the finances. You just take care of your daughter." Liam clenched his hand, his eyes wavering between pride and gratitude. "I'm not used to receiving without giving," he said hoarsely. "You don't understand. I lost my wife 3 years ago, and I swore I wouldn't let my child lack anything. You're kind, but I don't want them to think money just falls from the sky." Elena was surprised by his candor. She was about to respond, but Caleb interjected, pulling her hand. "Miss Elena, I'm hungry. Make more cookies, but don't burn them this time." He winked, making Isabelle giggle. Even Liam smiled slightly, the tension easing. Elena let Caleb drag her into the kitchen, her gaze fleetingly meeting Liam's. She realized he wasn't just a proud father, but a man carrying deep sorrow, much like herself. While mixing dough, Caleb talked about school, making Elena laugh as he described a friend trying to take his cookie without paying. "I told her, these cookies are to save Isabelle, not for snacking," Caleb said, making Elena burst into laughter. But the joy was short-lived. By noon, Elena's phone buzzed. Her assistant, sounding frantic, reported that Luxavita's stock was plummeting due to rumors from Bellicos. Elena hurried back to her office, opening her laptop. The draft article had now spread on social media, with the hashtag #LuxVitaLies. She immediately called her PR team, instructing them to check all product batches and prepare an official response. Yet, deep down, she knew Nathan was behind it all. He knew how to strike her weak spot, the trust of her customers. Elena left the penthouse, heading to Luxavita's headquarters in downtown Chicago. In the conference room, she faced the board of directors, her gaze sharp, but her heart in turmoil. "We don't use toxic chemicals," she stated firmly. "This is Bellicos's trick. I will handle it." But as she left the meeting room, she felt lonelier than ever. She had built Luxavita from nothing, but now it seemed like a tower on the verge of collapse. Returning to the penthouse late at night, Elena saw Caleb sleeping on the sofa, clutching a box of homemade cookies. Isabelle had gone to her room to rest, while Liam sat at the dining table, fixing an old watch. He looked up, concern in his eyes. "Are you all right? You look tired." Elena hesitated, then sat down opposite him. "My company is in trouble," she said quietly. "A rival is trying to destroy me, and the person behind it is someone I once trusted." She didn't mention Nathan's name, but the pain in her eyes said it all. Liam paused, looking at her. "I don't know about million-dollar companies," he said, "but I know when life knocks you down, there's only one way: to fight. You did it for Isabelle. Now do it for yourself." Elena was surprised, meeting his gaze. Liam's simple words, like a warm breeze, eased some of her fears. She gave a faint smile. "Thank you, Liam. You're right." "Caleb," waking up in the middle, ran over, handing Elena a box of cookies. "I made these just for you. There's a note inside." Elena opened the box, finding a scribbled note. "Miss Elena is the strongest. Don't give up." She laughed, eyes misty. Caleb hugged her, then ran back to the sofa to sleep. Elena looked at the box, her heart warming. But as she returned to her office, a new email from Nathan appeared. "Meet me at the charity auction on Friday, Elena. You'll see how Luxavita crumbles." Her heart went cold. Would she have enough strength to face Nathan and protect Luxavita? Or would the past once again bring her down? Stay tuned for this story. Have you ever faced a seemingly insurmountable challenge? Share in the comments and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments to follow Elena's emotional journey. Every story you share is motivation for us to bring heart-touching moments to life. Friday night, the Magnificent Mile was brilliantly lit, like a galaxy in the heart of Chicago. The building hosting the charity auction sparkled. Luxury cars lined the entrance. Guests in evening gowns glided past the red carpet. Elena Harper stepped out of the black SUV, her deep blue evening gown hugging her form, her shiny brown hair tied up, her gaze cold but her heart heavy. She knew Nathan Pierce, her ex-lover, was waiting inside, with plans to sabotage Luxavita. But she hadn't come to lose. She came to fight, for the company, for Isabelle, Caleb, and herself. In a penthouse a few miles away, Liam Bennett sat next to Isabelle, helping her adjust the sketch of a phoenix. Caleb, in his pajamas, bounced around the sofa, talking about baking cookies. "Ms. Elena must be wearing such a beautiful dress, Dad," Caleb said, eyes sparkling. Liam smiled, but his heart was troubled. He saw the tension in Elena's eyes this morning when she got the call from her assistant about the Luxavita crisis. He didn't understand her world, but he knew she was facing something big. And he was worried, even if he wouldn't admit it. At the auction, Elena entered the grand hall, chandeliers illuminating art pieces and silk-covered tables. She scanned the crowd, searching for Nathan. A familiar voice, smooth yet cold, echoed. Elena Harper, still pretending to be invincible? Nathan Pierce stood there, in a black tuxedo, a smug smile. At 35, he was still charming, but his eyes carried ruthlessness. "Do you think Luxavita will survive this week?" So naive. Elena gripped her wine glass, anger rising. 5 years ago, Nathan had betrayed her, stolen ideas, and left her when Luxavita was just starting out. Now he was here, like a ghost from the past. "Nathan, I'm not here to play childish games," she replied, her voice cold. "Luxavita is stronger than you think, and I will prove it." Nathan sneered, raising his glass. "You've always been stubborn, Elena, but Bellicos has proof that Luxavita uses toxic chemicals. By Tuesday, the press will rip you apart. Marcus Vaughn is merciless, and so am I." He leaned closer, his voice lowered. "You should give up. Luxavita isn't worth risking your reputation." Elena felt her blood heat up. He knew how to hit her weak spot, the trust of her clients, something she built from scratch. But Isabelle's gaze, Caleb's smile, and Liam's words, "Fight," echoed in her head. She gave him a cold smile. "Nathan, you have no idea how far I've come. Luxavita will stand strong, and you will regret crossing me." She turned, leaving Nathan with a stunned look. At the auction, Elena kept her composure, bidding on a painting to raise funds for children with heart disease, a reminder of Isabelle. But inside, she was a storm. She called her PR team, ordering them to check all product batches and prepare to sue Bellicos. She knew Nathan and Marcus were playing big, and she only had a few days to turn the situation around. Returning to the penthouse at midnight, Elena saw the kitchen light still on. Liam stood there, making a warm coffee, his gaze gentle but worried. "How was the party?" he asked, sliding the cup across the table. Elena sat down, her gown rustling, fatigue overwhelming her. "I just met my ex," she said, her voice low. "He's behind the rumors sabotaging Luxavita. He wants me to give up, to see my company fall." She avoided his gaze, not mentioning Nathan's mocking words, what he would spread if he knew about Liam. I'm scared I'm not strong enough." Liam paused, his gaze darkening. He sat beside her, his rough hand near hers. "Elena, I don't know who he is, but I know you. You gave Isabelle a chance to live, gave Caleb joy, and gave me something I haven't dared to name." He hesitated, his gaze sincere. "You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You're the strongest person I've ever met." Elena looked at Liam, warmth spreading through her. She remembered Nathan, the false promises, but Liam's gaze, so painfully real, melted her. "Thank you, Liam," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I'm scared of losing everything I've built." Liam held her hand, gentle but firm. "You're not alone," he said. "I'm here. Caleb, Isabelle, we're here." Caleb, sneaking out of his room, squeezed in, startling them both. "Ms. Elena, I heard everything," the boy said, eyes bright. "You're a superhero, not afraid of anything. I've got an idea. We can sell cookies at school to help you beat that bad guy." Elena laughed, pulling Caleb into a hug, making him giggle. Liam joined in with a smile, his gaze not leaving Elena, as if seeing her not just as a benefactor, but as a woman he wanted to be closer to. When Caleb went to sleep, Elena and Liam stayed, hands still touching. She talked about Nathan, the pain of betrayal, the fear of losing Luxavita. Liam listened, sharing about losing his wife, how he lives for his son. That moment, in the penthouse kitchen, brought them closer. But Elena's phone buzzed, a message from Dr. Carter. "Isabelle is showing signs of weakness. Surgery needed soon." Elena's heart sank. Could she save both Luxavita and Isabelle at the same time? Or was Nathan plotting something bigger? Elena's journey is getting more intense. Have you ever faced an enemy trying to pull you down? Share your feelings in the comments and hit subscribe for True Millionaire Moments to follow the exhilarating moments. Thank you for lighting up this story with us. The early morning sky over Chicago was covered with a layer of gray clouds, as if foreshadowing the coming storm. In Elena Harper's penthouse, the atmosphere was heavier than ever. Elena stood next to the temporary medical bed, her blue eyes filled with worry as she gazed at Isabelle Bennett. The 14-year-old girl lay there, her face pale and her breathing weak. Last night, Isabelle had a heart attack, and although the doctors had stabilized her condition, Dr. Carter's message echoed in Elena's head. The surgery must happen in the next 3 days, or it will be too late. Elena clenched her fists, feeling her heart constrict. Liam Bennett sat next to his daughter, his calloused hand holding Isabelle's, his gaze thoughtful. Caleb, 10 years old, stood near the door, hugging a box of homemade cookies, his brown eyes red from tears he was trying not to shed. "Sis Isabelle will be okay, right, Ms. Elena?" he asked, his voice quivering. Elena forced a smile, kneeling down to embrace him. "She'll be fine, Caleb. I promise," she said, although inside she was a bundle of nerves. She had to save Isabelle, but Luxavita was crumbling from Nathan Pierce and Marcus Vaughn's schemes. This morning, Elena received another email from Nathan. "On Tuesday, Luxavita will become a laughingstock. You have no chance, Elena." She knew he and Marcus were about to release false evidence accusing Luxavita of using toxic chemicals. The company's stock had plummeted, and the board was demanding her resignation. But what hurt her the most was Isabelle. The girl was like her brother Michael, whom she couldn't save years ago. Elena couldn't let history repeat. Liam stood up, his eyes meeting Elena's. "What did Dr. Carter say?" he asked, his voice hoarse. Elena recounted, emphasizing the urgency of the surgery. "I've arranged everything," she said. "The costs, the hospital, the best doctors. Isabelle will be cared for today." Liam clenched his fists, his gaze wavering. "Elena, I don't know what to say. You've done so much, but I don't want my child to be a burden." He looked away as if pride battled gratitude within him. Elena stepped forward, placing her hand on his shoulder. "Liam, Isabelle is not a burden. She's the reason I fight. You, Caleb, Isabelle. You give me something I thought I had lost." She paused, her eyes trembling. "Let me do this. Not for the money, but because I need you." Liam looked at her, his eyes softening. He nodded without speaking, but his gentle squeeze of her hand said it all. Caleb interrupted, hugging both of them. "We need you too, Ms. Elena," he said, making Elena laugh through her tears. In that moment, in the luxurious room, they felt like a family, if only for a fleeting second. But that moment dissipated when Elena's phone vibrated. A message from her assistant. "Nathan Pierce just posted on X, publicly sharing the fake report. He's at the hospital live streaming." Elena was stunned. She opened the app, seeing Nathan standing in front of the hospital in a gray suit, his smile smug. "Luxavita deceives customers," he said, holding up a fake lab report. "And Elena Harper? She's finished. She's busy tending to a mechanic and disabled kids instead of saving the company. Truly disappointing." He laughed, eyes like daggers. Elena felt her blood freeze. He knew about Liam, about Isabelle, and used them to mock her. Old wounds of betrayal resurfaced, mingling with anger. She wanted to rush to the hospital, confront him, but Isabelle needed her more. She turned to see Liam looking at the phone screen, his eyes darken. "He's talking about us," he said, his voice deep. "He pulled my daughter into this." Elena held his hand, her voice resolute. "He's wrong, Liam. I won't let him win. But first, we must save Isabelle." Liam nodded, his gaze now not just thankful but a silent commitment. The group headed to the hospital where Isabelle was taken into the emergency room. Elena financed everything, standing beside Liam and Caleb in the hallway. Caleb, still clutching the cookie box, whispered, "Ms. Elena, I'm scared, but I know Sis will be okay because you're a superhero." Elena smiled, hugging him tightly, but her gaze drifted to the window. Nathan was still out there, the live stream continued, and she knew he was waiting for her to fall apart. While waiting, Liam pulled Elena to a corner of the hallway. "Elena, I'm not good with words," he began, his voice hoarse. "But what you're doing for Isabelle, for us. I've never seen anyone as strong as you. Don't let that guy make you doubt yourself." He held her hand, his eyes sincere. "You're not just saving my daughter. You're saving me." Elena felt her heart race. She remembered Nathan, the lies, but Liam, with his calloused hands and honest eyes, made her feel safe. "Liam, I'm scared too," she whispered. "But with you, Caleb, Isabelle, I don't want to give up." Caleb, eavesdropping, ran over, making both jump. "Ms. Elena, Dad, we're a superhero team, right?" he said, holding the cookie box like a weapon. "I'll sell all these cookies to help you beat the bad guy." Elena laughed, pulling Caleb into a hug, making him giggle. Liam chuckled too, his eyes brighter, as if finding hope in the storm. Dr. Carter emerged, his eyes serious. "Isabelle is stable, but the surgery must be tomorrow. Ms. Harper, we need your signature." Elena nodded, her gaze resolute. She knew this was the biggest battle, saving Isabelle and saving Luxavita. But as she turned back, a new message from Nathan appeared. "See you in court, Elena. Luxavita will belong to Bellicos." Her heart chilled. Could she face Nathan and save both Isabelle and Luxavita? Or would he destroy everything she cherished? The story is reaching its climax. Have you ever stood up and fought when the whole world was against you? Share in the comments and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments to follow these emotional moments. Thank you for being with us, lighting up these heart-tugging stories. Chicago's midday was bathed in sunlight, but in the hospital corridor, a heavy atmosphere prevailed. Elena Harper stood outside the operating room, her anxious blue eyes fixed on the door where Isabelle Bennett was undergoing heart surgery by Dr. Carter. Liam Bennett sat in a chair, his calloused hands clasped tightly, eyes pensive. Caleb, 10 years old, sat next to his father, holding a homemade cookie box, his brown eyes bright but full of hope. "Sister Isabelle will be okay, right, Miss Elena?" he asked, his voice small. Elena knelt down, hugging him, trying to hide the fear in her heart. "She will be okay, Caleb. Your sister is very strong," she said, even though her heart was racing with worry. Last night, after Nathan Pierce's mocking livestream, Elena had worked late, coordinating with the PR team to refute the rumors that Luxavita used toxic chemicals. She knew Nathan and Marcus Vaughn were preparing to sue the company with fake reports to take over Luxavita. He had dragged Liam and his children into the drama, called her washed up, and mocked the Bennett family. But today, Isabelle was the priority. Elena canceled all meetings, despite the pressure from the board of directors, to be with this family, people who had become an indispensable part of her heart. Liam looked up, his eyes meeting Elena's. "You don't have to be here all day," he said, his voice hoarse. "Your company. I saw the news. They're really attacking you hard." He looked away, as if feeling like a burden. Elena sat down next to him, her white sweater barely touching his flannel sleeve. "Liam, Luxavita is business, but Isabelle is family," she said, her voice firm. "I'm not going anywhere." She hesitated, then held his hand. "And you're also why I'm here." Liam was stunned, his deep brown eyes watching her. In the past 3 years, after losing his wife in an accident, he had closed his heart, living only for Isabelle and Caleb. But Elena, with her determined gaze and rare smile, made him feel something he thought he had lost. "Elena, I have nothing to offer you," he said, his voice deep. "Just a mechanic, with 2 kids and a mountain of troubles." Elena smiled, squeezing his hand tightly. "You give me more than you think. You show me what family is and what courage means." She paused, her eyes trembling. "I used to be afraid of love because of past betrayals. But you make me want to try again." Caleb, eavesdropping, interrupted, startling them both. "Miss Elena, Dad, are you two dating?" he asked, winking mischievously. "I knew it. Dad keeps looking at Miss Elena." Elena blushed, while Liam coughed awkwardly. "Caleb, go get some water, son," he said, but a smile played on his lips. Caleb giggled and ran off, leaving the cookie box on the chair. Elena burst into laughter, a warm feeling spreading, but her smile quickly disappeared when her phone buzzed. A message from her assistant. "Bellicos has filed a lawsuit against Luxavita. Nathan and Marcus will hold a press conference this afternoon." Elena squeezed her hand, anger rising. She knew Nathan was taking advantage of her being busy with Isabelle to attack. She called the legal team, ordering them to prepare evidence to clear her name. But her heart was troubled. Could she save both Isabelle and Luxavita? By midday, Elena and Liam visited a small bakery near the hospital to get coffee and pastries for Caleb. In the warm space filled with the smell of flour, they sat facing each other, the sunlight through the window making Elena's hair shine. "Liam, I need to tell you," she said, her voice low. "My ex, Nathan, is the one sabotaging Luxavita. He knows about you, about Isabelle, and uses it to hurt me. Liam frowned, his eyes darkening. He thinks my kids and I are your weak points, he said coldly. But he's wrong. You are stronger than him, Elena, and we won't let you fight alone. Elena looked at him, heart racing. She told him about Nathan, false promises, betrayal, and how she built Luxavita out of pain. Liam listened, then spoke of his wife, who always smiled despite hardships, and how he learned to live for his children. I thought I couldn't love again, he said, meeting her eyes. But you make me want to try, Elena. They sat silently, their hands touching on the table, no further words needed. In that moment, within the modest bakery, a small but indelible flame of feeling blossomed. Caleb ran in, holding a large donut, breaking the tension. Miss Elena, Dad, look, I picked the biggest one, he said, powdered sugar all over his face. Elena laughed, wiping his cheek, while Liam shook his head, smiling. Back at the hospital, Dr. Carter emerged, eyes relieved. The surgery was successful, he said. Isabelle is recovering but needs a few days of monitoring. Elena hugged Caleb, tears streaming down. Liam held her hand, his eyes filled with hope. They went to see Isabelle, who smiled weakly. Thank you, Miss Elena. Dad, Isabelle whispered, moving all three deeply. But their joy didn't last long. As they left the hospital, Elena received a message from Nathan. Congratulations on Isabelle, but Luxavita isn't so lucky. The court will see to that. She turned to Liam, determined. He wants to see me fall, she said. But I will fight, for Isabelle, Caleb, and you. Liam held her hand, his eyes firm. We fight together, he said. Caleb stood beside, holding up the cookie box. And me too, he chimed in, making both laugh. But inside Elena, a fear flickered. Could she overturn Nathan and Marcus? Or would Luxavita crumble just when she found love? This journey is full of emotions. Have you ever found strength from those you love? Share in the comments and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments to experience more touching highlights. Thank you for being the spark that lights up our story. The afternoon in Chicago was blazing with sunshine, but in the meeting room of Luxavita's headquarters, the atmosphere was tense as a tightrope. Elena Harper stood before the board of directors, her sharp blue eyes and gray suit dress exuding an indomitable aura. On the large screen, Bellicos's fake report accusing Luxavita of using toxic chemicals was spreading, driving the company's stock price to rock bottom. Nathan Pierce and Marcus Vaughn, with a lawsuit filed in court, were organizing a press conference, declaring that Luxavita would collapse. But Elena did not falter. She had fought all her life, and now, with Isabelle, Caleb, and Liam by her side, she was ready to turn the tide. This morning, Elena went to the hospital to visit Isabelle Bennett. The 14-year-old, after heart surgery, was healthier, sitting on the bed sketching a phoenix. Miss Elena, I dreamed that I was painting a big picture to hang in a museum, Isabelle said, her weak smile bright. Elena embraced her, feeling warm inside. You will do it, she promised, though her eyes were anxious when she thought of Nathan. He had live-streamed, calling Isabelle and Caleb disabled, dragging the Bennett family into drama to humiliate her. Online audiences were outraged with the hashtag Justice for Luxavita trending, but Elena knew that the legal battle would be decisive. In the penthouse, Liam Bennett was making coffee, his deep brown eyes thoughtfully watching Caleb build blocks on the sofa. He watched Nathan's live stream, hearing him mock Elena and his children, boiling with anger inside. For the past 3 years, he had lived for Isabelle and Caleb, allowing no one to insult them. But Elena, the strong yet vulnerable woman, made him want to protect her as well. He called a friend from the garage, a former Luxavita customer, asking for information about Bellicos. I won't let her fight alone, he vowed to himself. At Luxavita headquarters, Elena presented her counterattack plan. We have evidence that every batch of our products is clean, she said confidently. The legal team has found discrepancies in Bellicos's report. It's fabricated. She turned to her assistant. Prepare a press conference this afternoon. I will expose Nathan and Marcus. The board nodded, regaining confidence in their expressions. But inside, Elena was anxious. Nathan knew her weakness, her past betrayal, and she feared he would resort to dirtier tactics. At noon, Elena received a message from Liam. Found a lead. Meet me at the bakery near the hospital. She hurried over to find Liam sitting in their familiar corner, in a flannel shirt stained with grease, eyes bright. My friend, an old customer, once worked with Bellicos, he said, handing her a USB. They have internal emails proving Nathan and Marcus deliberately falsified the report. I don't know if it will help, but I want to help you. Elena was stunned, taking his hand. Liam, you have no idea how important this is, she said, her voice trembling. Thank you for believing in me. Liam smiled, gripping her hand tightly. We're a team, right? He asked, his gaze warm. Elena nodded, feeling her heart race. The feelings between them, unspoken, had grown stronger than any challenge. Caleb ran in, holding a bag of cookies. Miss Elena, I sold out the cookies at school, he exclaimed, handing her a stack of small bills. This is to help you defeat the bad guy. Elena laughed, hugging him. You're a real superhero, Caleb, she said. But her eyes stung when she thought of Nathan. He called Caleb disabled. But this boy was stronger than him 1,000 times over. That afternoon, Elena held a press conference in front of Luxavita headquarters, the camera lights flashing. She stepped onto the platform, her gray suit dress standing out, eyes resolute. Luxavita is not a fraud, she said, her voice resonating. Bellicos, under the direction of Marcus Vaughn and Nathan Pierce, falsified their report to bring us down. She raised the USB, her eyes sharp. Here is their internal email evidence showing the conspiracy. We will sue Bellicos, and I promise to protect our customers' trust. The crowd applauded. Social media exploded with the hashtag #LuxVitaFightsBack. Nathan, watching the live stream from Bellicos's office, clutched his fist angrily. Marcus, beside him, coldly said, She has evidence, but it's not over yet. Nathan nodded, his gaze ruthless. I know how to make her fall, he said, typing a message. Elena, I just sent the video of you stealing Luxavita's ideas to the Chicago Tribune. Tomorrow morning it will be on the front page. Say goodbye to your career. Elena left the press conference and returned to the hospital. Isabelle was awake, drawing with Caleb. Miss Elena, I saw you on TV, Caleb shouted. You were so cool. Isabelle smiled, handing her a sketch. Elena standing next to Liam, Caleb and the girl, like a family. This is us, Isabelle said, her voice weak. Elena hugged both of them, tears rolling down her cheeks. Liam walked in, his eyes bright seeing his daughter well. He pulled Elena into the hallway, taking her hand. You did it, he said, his voice deep. I'm proud of you. Elena smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. We did it, Liam, she whispered. They stood there, their hands tightly entwined, feeling that nothing in the world could separate them. But Elena's phone vibrated, a message from Nathan appearing. I just sent the video of you stealing Luxavita's ideas to the Windy City Herald. Tomorrow morning it will be on the front page. Say goodbye to your career. Her heart chilled. The video was fake. But would the public believe? Could she overturn Nathan's final move before Luxavita collapsed? Or would he destroy everything just as she found her family? The story is reaching its peak. Have you ever defeated an enemy with the help of loved ones? Share in the comments and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments for thrilling moments. Thank you for lighting up heart-touching stories. The Chicago night shimmered with lights. But inside Elena Harper's penthouse, the atmosphere was heavy, like before a storm. Elena stood by the window, her anxious green eyes gazing down at the city. The message from Nathan Pierce kept haunting her. Elena knew Nathan wanted to destroy Luxavita and her reputation, precisely when she was protecting Isabelle, Caleb, and Liam Bennett, people who had become her family. In the living room, 14-year-old Isabelle sat on the sofa sketching a phoenix, her face pale but her smile bright after heart surgery. 10-year-old Caleb sprawled beside her, hugging a box of homemade cookies and recounting school stories. Liam Bennett, in his grease-stained flannel shirt, stood near the kitchen making coffee, his contemplative brown eyes watching Elena. He knew she was under immense pressure from Nathan and Marcus Vaughn, but he didn't know what else to do but be there for her. Elena turned, her gaze softening when she saw Isabelle and Caleb. She sat down beside the girl, watching the sketch. "You draw beautifully, Isabelle," she said warmly. "I'll take you to art school, as promised." Isabelle smiled, gripping her hand. "Ms. Elena, thank you for everything. I'm not scared anymore." Caleb jumped in, holding out the cookie box. "Ms. Elena, have some cookies. I made these special, with extra chocolate chips." Elena laughed, taking one, but her eyes momentarily showed sadness. Liam approached, placing a cup of coffee in front of Elena. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice deep. Elena nodded, but her eyes couldn't hide the worry. "Liam, tomorrow morning, a newspaper will release a fake video claiming I stole Luxavita's idea. If the public believes it, everything I've built will collapse." Liam sat down, his calloused hand gently touching hers. "Elena, I don't understand your world, but I know you didn't do it. You've been fighting for Isabelle, for us. You will overcome this." He hesitated, his eyes profound. "And I want to be with you no matter what happens." Elena was stunned, her heart racing. She looked at Liam, a single father with rough hands, sincere eyes, and saw something she never dared to dream: true love. "Liam, aren't you afraid I'll drag you into this mess?" she asked, her voice trembling. Liam smiled, holding her hand tightly. "I fear many things, Elena. Afraid of losing Isabelle. Afraid I'm not good enough for Caleb. But with you, I'm not afraid. I love you. Not because you're a billionaire or a CEO, but because you are a strong woman who gave us a family." He paused, his eyes shaking. "I want to be with you, if you want to." Elena felt her eyes watering. She remembered Nathan, the lies, but Liam, so painfully real, melted her heart. "Liam, I love you too," she whispered, resting her head on his shoulder. "I never thought I'd love again. But you made me believe." Caleb, eavesdropping from the sofa, cheered, startling both. "I knew it. Ms. Elena and Dad are really dating." He ran over, hugging them both, splattering cookie crumbs all over Elena's clothes. Isabelle giggled, holding up her sketch. "I drew both of you here." Elena and Liam laughed, pulling Caleb and Isabelle into a big hug. In that moment, the cold penthouse became a true home. But the joy faded when Elena's phone vibrated. Her assistant called, panicked. "Windy City Herald is about to publish the video, but the legal team found an old email proving Nathan was the one who stole ideas years ago." Elena was stunned, her eyes lighting up. She immediately called the PR team, ordering them to send the evidence to the Windy City Herald before dawn. "We will turn this around," she said, determined. All night, Elena and the legal team worked tirelessly. Liam stayed by her side, making coffee, helping her organize papers. Caleb, though sleepy, kept bringing out cookies to keep them going. Isabelle, from the sofa, drew a new picture, Elena holding a shield, fighting a dragon. "You are a knight, Ms. Elena," the girl said, making Elena smile through her exhaustion. In the early morning, Windy City Herald published, Luxa Vita vindicated, Nathan Pierce fakes video, steals idea. The internal emails of Nathan, along with testimonies from former colleagues, exposed him. Bellicos dropped the lawsuit, Marcus fired Nathan, and Luxa Vita's stock soared. Social media exploded with the hashtag Luxa Vita wins, the public cheering for Elena. Nathan, surrounded by the press, vanished from Chicago, his eyes now only reflecting defeat. Elena returned to the hospital, seeing Isabelle drawing, Caleb playing with building blocks, and Liam waiting. He wrapped her in an embrace, his eyes proud. "You did it," he said, his voice deep. Elena smiled, holding his hand. "We did it, Liam. A team of superheroes." Caleb cheered, running over to hug, sending the cookie box tumbling, crumbs scattering across the floor. "I told you Ms. Elena is a superhero," he said, making everyone laugh. Isabelle handed Elena the night drawing. "Keep it," she said, "to remember us." Elena hugged the girl, tears rolling down her cheeks. She looked at Liam, Caleb, Isabelle. Her family she never dared to dream of. But her phone vibrated, a message from the board. "We want you to lead Luxa Vita long term. Are you ready for the future?" Elena's heart warmed. Could she maintain Luxa Vita while building this home? Or was a new challenge awaiting? Elena's journey is so emotional. Have you ever found love amidst the greatest challenges? Share in the comments and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments to experience heartwarming moments. Thank you for joining us, lighting up this story. Millennium Park gleamed under the summer sun, gentle breezes carrying the scent of flowers from the beds of wild daisies. Under the green canopy, a simple wedding was set up, adorned with white ribbons and wooden tables draped in linen. Elena Harper, in a simple white wedding dress, her shiny brown hair cascading down, stood next to Liam Bennett, who wore a deep blue suit, his warm brown eyes never leaving her. Isabelle Bennett, 14, in a light yellow bridesmaid dress, beamed brightly after fully recovering from heart surgery. Caleb, 10, acting as the ring bearer, stood straight, holding the ring box with bright brown eyes like a small superhero. Today, just a few months after their victory over Nathan Pierce and Bellicos, Elena and Liam decided to have their wedding at the place where they met Caleb selling cookies. Millennium Park. The guest list was small, just a few close friends, the Luxa Vita team, and supporters of Elena through the hashtag Luxa Vita wins. No red carpets, no lavish parties, just a day for them, Isabelle and Caleb, to become a real family. But in Elena's heart, a flicker of worry arose. Luxa Vita's board had just proposed she expand the company globally, a new challenge that could pull her away from this newfound home. Isabelle stepped forward, handing Elena a sketch, the family standing under the bean, all smiling brightly. "Keep this," she said, her voice clear. "To remember today." Elena hugged Isabelle, her eyes misty. She looked at the girl, now healthy, ready to attend the Chicago Arts School, and saw shadows of her younger brother, Michael, smiling from afar. Caleb, standing next to Liam, whispered, "Dad, don't drop the rings. I practiced all week." Liam tousled his hair, smiling. "Don't worry, little superhero," he said, his eyes fleetingly concerned when he looked at Elena. He knew she was considering Luxa Vita's offer, and he feared she might have to choose between the company and the family. Yet he believed in her, just as she believed in him during the darkest days. The ceremony began, the officiant reciting the vows. Elena held Liam's hand, her blue eyes shining. "Liam, you have given me a family, a reason to love again," she said, her voice trembling. "I promise to stand by you, Isabelle, Caleb, through any challenge." Liam squeezed her hand, his gaze sincere. "Elena, you're our light. I vow to love you, protect you, and make you laugh every day." He winked, making Elena chuckle. Caleb stepped forward, holding the ring box, but it slipped from his grip and rolled onto the grass. "Oh no!" he exclaimed, scrambling after it, causing the guests to laugh. Liam shook his head, bending down to help his son, and the two raised the rings like trophies. "Superhero's a bit clumsy," Caleb said, winking, making Elena pull him into a hug, cookie crumbs from his pocket smudging her dress. Isabelle giggled, quickly sketching the moment into her notebook. As they exchanged rings, Elena and Liam kissed. Applause erupted. Caleb cheered, Isabelle waved ribbons, and guests tossed wildflower petals. Elena looked at her new family, feeling complete happiness. She remembered Nathan, the derisive words, but he was now just the past. Luxavita was stronger than ever, and she had Liam, Isabelle, Caleb, those who made her believe in miracles. After the ceremony, the group sat around the wooden table, eating Caleb's homemade cookies and drinking lemonade. Isabelle talked about art class. Caleb excitedly shared his plan to sell cookies all over Chicago. Liam held Elena's hand, his eyes bright. "What do you think about Luxavita's offer?" he asked quietly. "Going global. It might take you away." Elena smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "I've decided," she said. "I'll lead Luxavita, but from Chicago. I'm not going anywhere. This family is my home." Liam kissed her forehead, eyes gleaming. "Good, because I wasn't planning to let you go," he said, making Caleb and Isabelle burst into laughter. But as the party wound down, Elena's assistant approached, handing her an envelope from the board. "They want you in New York next week to meet with international investors," she said. Elena opened the envelope, seeing the contract to expand Luxavita into Europe. She looked at Liam, Isabelle, Caleb, a hint of concern in her heart. She had overcome Nathan, but this new challenge might change everything. Can she balance love and career? Or would a wrong decision break the newly built home? Elena's story is truly radiant. Have you ever faced a choice between love and dreams? Share in the comments and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments to see heartwarming moments. Thank you for bringing light to this story with us. Summer in Chicago is radiant, with sunlight filtering through the trees at Millennium Park, where the story of Elena Harper and the Bennett family began. Today, a special event takes place here. The launch of the Bright Hearts Charity Fund, founded by Elena to support children with heart disease, inspired by Isabelle Bennett and her brother Michael. Underneath the small stage, Elena, in a white sweater and jeans, stands next to Liam Bennett, who is wearing a flannel shirt, with warm brown eyes gazing at his wife. Isabelle, 14, healthy after surgery, is painting live on stage with a beaming smile. Caleb, 10, stands beside a table of homemade cookies, cheering for guests. Best cookies in Chicago, buy them to support the kids. Hundreds of people gather, from Luxavita employees to families Elena has helped. The Bright Hearts sign sparkles, featuring a phoenix symbol, a concept born from Isabelle's painting. Elena steps onto the stage, her bright green eyes and resonant voice drawing attention. "Bright Hearts is not just a charity," she says. "It is a promise that every child deserves a chance to live, to be loved, and to dream. I once lost a brother to heart disease, but Isabelle, Caleb, and Liam gave me a new family and a reason to keep fighting." The crowd applauds. Isabelle smiles from her art table, and Caleb raises a cookie as a trophy. Liam holds Elena's hand below the stage, eyes filled with pride. Yet inside, a flicker of concern passes through him. The previous week, Elena received a contract to expand Luxavita into Europe, requiring her to meet investors in New York. He supports her, but fears the long trips might pull her away from the newly built home. Can Elena balance her career and family? He believes in her, but still worries. Elena shares her journey, from meeting Caleb selling cookies, saving Isabelle, to defeating Nathan Pierce and Bellicos. I used to think my career meant everything, she says, with a drift glance towards Liam. But this family taught me that love is what lasts. She pauses, her voice trembling. Therefore, I've decided. I will lead Luxavita's global expansion, but from Chicago. I will not leave my family. The crowd cheers. Liam squeezes her hand, his eyes brightening. He steps onto the stage, embracing Elena, whispering, "I knew you could do it." Caleb squeezes in, startling them both. "Ms. Elena's staying. I told you we're a superhero team." He cheers, causing a cookie to fall, puffing flour onto Liam's shirt. Isabelle giggles, raising her newly painted artwork, a depiction of their family under a phoenix, with the words, "Bright Hearts Forever." Laughter fills the crowd as cameras capture the warm moment. After the ceremony, the family gathers in the penthouse kitchen, making cookies together. Isabelle talks about her art classes, and Caleb shares plans for starting a cookie empire. Elena and Liam stand by the oven, their hands lightly touching. "I support you no matter what you choose," Liam says earnestly. "But I'm glad you're staying. I'm not good at being far from you." Elena smiles, softly kissing his cheek. "I'm not good at being away from you either," she replies. "Luxavita will thrive, but this family is my home." She gazes at Isabelle and Caleb, her heart warm. The Bright Hearts Fund has raised millions, helping dozens of children, and Isabelle's art will be displayed at the Chicago Art Museum. Luxavita is preparing a branch in Paris, but Elena will manage it from here, with Liam, Isabelle, and Caleb by her side. Caleb, covered in flour, offers a mishap-shaped cookie. "Ms. Elena, this is a superhero cookie, just for you." Elena laughs, taking a bite, scattering flour into her hair. "The best in Chicago," she exclaims, pulling him into her embrace. Liam and Isabelle laugh boisterously, the kitchen filled with joy. Elena looks at her family, envisioning Michael smiling from afar. She has overcome Nathan, moved past grief, and found true happiness. But as the family cleans up the kitchen, an email arrives from Luxavita's board. "Elena, a partner in Paris would like a face-to-face meeting. Are you ready to fly out next week?" Elena looks at Liam, Isabelle, and Caleb, then smiles. She types her response. "I'll meet from Chicago. My family takes priority." She switches off her phone, embraces Liam, feeling his warmth. The future may bring challenges, but with this superhero team, she knows she can overcome anything. The story of Elena, Liam, Isabelle, and Caleb concludes, but their message continues to resonate. Love, kindness, and family can change the world. They have emerged from darkness, from a $2 cookie to the inspiring Bright Hearts Fund. The road ahead holds many challenges, but together, they will always shine. Do you think so? Share your thoughts on this journey in the comments and subscribe to True Millionaire Moments to be inspired by more touching stories. Each viewer like you is a flame kindling great dreams.